Yeah, I'd like to call the Perry County Recycling Management District Solid Waste meeting to order for the June meeting. Okay, can we have a reading of the agenda, approval of the agenda? Everybody had a chance to look at that? Sorry, you look over the agenda.
Yeah,
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay,
I'll second it.
motion.
One question is Wes, are you going to go through your document that you presented? Sometime in here, and I don't know when, but I would like to see that. Where he goes through and explains the breakdowns of what he did and how he arrived at those numbers. I'd like to have that inserted in here somewhere.
Your new business, or?
I would think probably before your annual fee update. Doesn't really matter when.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Pass 4-0. Okay, everybody had a chance to look over the minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to that? Seeing none, can we get a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting?
So moved.
Okay, we got a motion, need a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. Okay, financial statement.
Got two sets of financials, April and May's. The one thing, point of clarity on that, the cash balances are as of the beginning of the month. So those are last dates reconciled. So those should be, I'm going to struck through and clarify on that. But the balances are as of the beginning of this month. So instead of 6/27 as the date of meeting, the actual cash balance was as of 5/31/61. So that's the one point of clarity on that. This shows that in the report that we did strike through that, just gives me right on current cash positions.
Okay, any questions, Wes?
So Wes, I was thinking there's some invoices for tipping fees. Have those not been paid?
The last 2 months, we're doing a stack of checks ready to go out. We have to get approved.
Okay.
And we try to pay any of them that are going to get penalized or have interest tacked on. We try to pay those ahead.
Okay.
But any of the other ones we're sitting on account. So once we get these signed, we'll assess them, we'll send those out to them.
Okay, great. Okay, can we have a motion to approve financial statement?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay, Mike, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, passed. Okay, director's report.
Good afternoon, everyone. We did not have our May meeting, and so this is May and June, and we have the reports from Wes that show you that we really don't have much money left. We were, last year we submitted our budget, as we always have, that show that we would be getting money from our $45 fee from the residents and property owners. Let me clarify that, property owners that own property in Perry County, which has pretty much always been the way it's done. We are now in a critical position, and I come before you humbled, greatly humbled, that we now only have 2 months worth of operating money. You will notice also that I have not submitted my reimbursements, and that is because of our situation with money. I also want you to be aware of the fact that when we submitted our budget, and it was for the residents, property owners, however you want to say that, to pay the $45 bill, it was approved by this board. and it was approved by commissioners. And then when November, when it was changed, that it was going to be paid by edit money, that changed the whole dynamics for us. And we are our own entity. We are not a county department. And by no means do I mean anything I say to ruffle any feathers or to cause a problem. I say this because we are a very important part of this county. And what we do is a very important part. And we have employees. No matter what we make per hour, we are an important part of this county. And I sit back 7 days of work I work. I get phone calls at 5:30 in the morning, and I get calls and texts at 11 o'clock at night, whether it be Waste Management calling me because they can't get in a gate at 5:30 in the morning at Branchville, or employees that are sick or have a family emergency and won't be at work the next day. That's my job. And I don't mind that. What I mind is when people think that we aren't important. And so we sit back, and I have someone that wants to come work, and I can't hire them because I can't guarantee that they're going to have a paycheck. So I have sat in front of you, I've not been the friendliest person, and asked you for money. And to think that I'm sitting here yet again waiting for money. I have a gentleman today coming in asking me, did he miss the bill? Because he hasn't paid it. Did he miss it in the mail? No, sir, it has been billed out. I sat and not said anything, thinking I'll be quiet and wait for the money, and nothing's been done. This money is needed. If you look at your report, you will see that Hamilton had 4.93 tons of garbage. That's what people have chosen to bring to us. Chosen, because they could have done anything with their garbage, but they chose to buy tags. That was in 2023, gentlemen. That was revenue that we got, yes, that is how we survive, but we survive also on that $45 fee. I know everyone does not like that fee. We also, in Branchville, 5.45 tons of garbage has been taken to Branchville in solid waste. That's a lot. People out in Branchville and that area have more of an option. A lot of people burn, which is illegal, but they do burn out in the county. They have chosen to bring that. They have chosen not to throw it in a ditch. They have chosen to do that. And when people are told this last couple months, they didn't have to pay a fee because it was taken care of by the county. They think they don't ever have to pay a fee again. But what they don't understand and haven't been told is that money, that edit money can run out, and then there's no more site. They think it's going to be paid for forever. That is not the truth. The truth is it will be shut down if there's no edit money. They think it's going to be paid for and they never have a fee again. That is not the truth. And that's what I'm here to say. And I hope that everyone understands this. There's not one answer to this. And this is not for anyone to be calling anyone anything. This is the truth. This is the fact of it. Without having that option for people in northern part of Perry County, having a recycling center that accepts solid waste, that will be gone. And if the people in northern Perry County knew that that was the truth, they would pay the $45 fee without a problem. But when they're only told half a truth, they think, oh, they don't have to pay it, it's gone. Okay. No, if the edit money is not there, it's gone. And if you talk to the people that use that facility and you tell them, you have a choice. You pay a $45 fee, or you use the edit money, or you use some other kind of donation, and it dries up, you don't have this site. That's your choice, $45 fee or that, and it's gone. They're going to choose the $45 fee. So when you give them the actual facts and you give them a choice, that it's not a game. That's what I'm supposed to do. That's what I do. That's the truth of what I say to the people. Because I have nothing vested in it other than my job and the truth. So I'm asking you to please release money or let me bill the people. I'll take the heat. I'll stand there and let them gripe at me. That's what I'm here today for. I understand that we haven't had a meeting. I understand, but I also understand and see, because if you look at 2023, the lowest amount of garbage that was taken in 1 week, because we're billed weekly, they pick up weekly, that I want to change, is 2.0 ton. A ton has 2,000 pounds. So 2 times 2 is 4,000 pounds of garbage in 1 week that Branchville got. 1 week. So when you're standing there and you're looking at the garbage that comes in, that I've been there, I've seen it, I work with it, I pick it up. And you see that, and you're standing there and you're moving garbage, and someone says, we don't need that, I argue with you. That is not the truth. And in Hamilton, they do it with equipment. You don't at Branchville. Branchville is the least equipped site we have. So I'm begging you to release funds or let me bill the people. And if the people are mad about a $45 bill coming out in the mail, I will handle it. I will personally take the phone calls. I will handle it. You guys can tell them to call me. They can have my cell phone number. I don't care. So I think that, we have 1,000 people that come to the sites almost weekly at both sites. I tell you guys every month. And I implore you, I'm begging you, find the money or let me bill the people. I'll put an article, I'll apologize. I'll put the numbers in the paper of what it is. And that's kind of all. And also, Walmart has a new process. I can't check in the tags in the back. The city just went through their garbage, their trash tags, the red tags. It's a whole long process to get them sold. I have not been able to do that because in good conscience, why would I do that if we're shutting down? Why in the world would I start a process that is going to turn around and take weeks, if not months? Because now Walmart owes Tell City for the garbage tags. It's going to take a whole bunch of work. And if we're not going to be here and do that, why would I do it? Why would anyone do that? It's unproductive. Why would I sit and take time out of that to sit back and turn in a time study that says I worked on a project for Walmart when we're not going to be here? And now we're not going to be able to sell tags at Walmart. That's a convenience for the people of Perry County that I want to give them. But why would I do it and waste time on that when we're doing a time study, we're trying to validate our jobs, to sit there and do it when we're not going to be here? How do I hire another employee that we need in Hamilton because the employees are there when we're not going to be here? So I have employees. They needed toilet paper. I didn't want to order toilet paper and paper towels to get another bill. So I was going to go buy it out of my money. But I don't want to turn in another invoice to wait to see if it can get paid. We needed a bell wire. Do you know what I was going to do? I was going to do it with Quincy and have Quincy take it out of our money so that I did not have a bill with Midwest Bell Tire, but it would come out of the money from them. So that the $2,000 check that we get for our cardboard went to go pay off the bell tire from Quincy. That's what I'm doing, Peter to Paul. Because I'm begging for money that was promised from a budget that I submitted to the board, to the council, and was all approved, and then next thing you know, I'm sitting with it ripped out from underneath me from my department, the department that helps this county, the people in this county, that is working for this county. That's what I did. That's what the board did when we submitted this, and it was ripped out from underneath this whole department, and now the people of Perry County are suffering and might be closed. So the people that go to Perry County solid waste and drop off their garbage might not be able to. And now I'm standing up here saying this. This is not what I want to do as my job. This is not what I should be doing. Wes has done a fabulous job of working it all out. I want to continue this. I want to continue with this department. I want us to continue doing it and moving forward. But we need our money that we were entitled to. We need the money that we submitted in our budget. We need the money that was approved by this board. We need the money that was submitted to the council that they approved. That is the bottom line here. We are in June. It was submitted last year.
Chris, you said you had some reimbursements you haven't submitted. Any that would go back to you personally, that you paid out of your own pocket in essence. Rough ballpark, what is that amount?
They run between 150 and 210 a month.
So what's that total we would owe you? If you would submit all of them reimbursements, what would that total be roughly? Do you have any idea?
At least $340.
So, okay. I was just curious as I'm looking at that number to that number. It's thousands, oh God, you know.
It's
340
not a lot, but in good conscience, it's hard to sit there and do that and know that, you know, it's just a very frustrating thing.
Well, I'm going to kind of echo one thing. You and I had a meeting, I don't know, maybe a month ago. I don't remember the exact date. You said something to me that meant a lot to show your dedication to the solid waste district and how you really want to see this continue on and not fold. And you told me how old you were. I'm not going to repeat your age, just respect you. But as part of your job, you're supposed to be offered health insurance. You chose not to take the health insurance to save the budget. Had you taken that health insurance and your reimbursements, I'm not sure we'd have that maybe a month left. I don't know. I don't know what it costs off the top of my head. But you've been going without health insurance now since at least January. I don't know.
Yep.
That's sad. We wouldn't ask a single employee. I would never ask a city employee to subsidize our expenses and to keep the city afloat for their own health like that. And as board member, I'm going to apologize to you that we have put you in that position to make that choice, to put the solid waste district over your health. I don't know what you're doing for your medications, if you have any, or how you're paying for it, or paying more, I don't know. And I don't need to know necessarily because that's private, but I'm sorry. I'm going to let you know that. I appreciate every blood, sweat, and tear that you have put in this and your entire team. Some of them barely make minimum wage.
You're right.
Some of them could go to McDonald's and honestly make more money. So, I mean, I don't have the answer to this exact second. I'm only one person on this board, but I just wanted to bring that up. When we met, that almost brought tears to my eyes. I'm not going to lie. I know you're working very hard. I'm going to say, in essence, you're a single parent. You're raising your 3 grandkids, trying to keep the district alive, and just juggle life. And I don't see how you do it. So, you're a strong woman. I just want to let you know that. I appreciate you.
Say, now we're on to old business, annual fee. That's what we're here for, the annual fee.
Well, actually, Wes was supposed to, I think, jump up ahead of
Yes.
that. Sorry. I just realized my note there. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, if you could, I don't want to tell you to come up, but people watching won't be able to hear you. You have a soft voice, Wes. I'm sorry. And there'll be people asking me, what did he say? I don't know.
I gotta use this because I haven't printed it all out. I got too many extra schedules in here. So the cost seg was done, and keep in mind, this was done with 3 days of lead time. So was the time study 100%? Probably not. There's always room for improvement on these things. Even if we had a month to prepare, we'd find things we could have improved on. So we did this with 3 days of lead time on this time study. Okay. The categories that the team used, all the employees used, we tried to group, me and my team, into the broader categories of the recyclables, the waste, admin, billing, the categories that we would say are cost centers, so to speak, for the district. And so that's what you see on the time study piece. There's 4 attachments. You guys should have all gotten 4, right? I think 4 here. 2 pages of the P&L, the time study, and the tonnage. So the time study is the first one. Again, we had everybody went through. This was a 2-week time study. In a perfect world, I would have done this for a month or 2. 2 weeks today might look, in the first half of the month, might look entirely different than the last 2 weeks of the month. So again, this is an isolated approach. In a perfect world, we would have done this over a much larger span of time, but it's what we've got, and that's how we kind of built the time study piece. The second aspect I want to highlight is the tonnage. So these are our vendor reports that we got on the tonnage. The important things to note here, again, we've got waste broken out separate from all the recycles. The waste, I went ahead and broke it down by site, and I think that is very important, as you'll see, because the cost to service a ton of waste or per a pound of waste at Branchville is almost double what it's cost us to do it at Cannleton because of our tipping fees and everything associated with that. Again, not saying we should do different structures between the two, but definitely something we need to take into account. So the tipping fees are in there by location, by the major vendors, that kind of stuff. So I gave that as well, the total tonnage for the year. And then all of that is what built into the cost seg. So we did 3 primary methods of allocation on that. So direct method means this was a 1-to-1 expense. So if I went out and bought stamps for our billing at the end of the year, 100% of that went to billing. So those are the direct allocations. Time study allocation was the second one we did based upon the time study that was completed. You can see the allocations on the time study sheet that I gave you guys. And then the recycle, so I did a by weight. Again, not a perfect answer. You could have done it. I literally went down to Cannleton and drew a sketch of the site and was going to say, well, let's do based upon square footage of the site allocated. That is next to impossible to do. So I decided that was probably not going to work for this time study or for this cost segregation, but that would be another approach that we could have done. We did it based upon tonnage. So that was our recycle and the waste allocation method that we used. Okay. So on the cost seg itself, I left the methodology on there so you can see how I did it. So up at the top, those are all pretty standard. Those are direct allocations because they're all revenue tied to one of our revenue items, cost centers. The expense side, everything associated with payroll, I allocated based upon 2023's numbers. Okay, so I used an entire year. I thought that was the best for this approach, and did the time study and allocated based upon the time study. So if somebody told me they spent half their time working on waste and half their time working on cardboard, their entire salary last year got split between those 2 cost centers. Okay, so that's the approach we took. That's the time study allocation. Again, direct is just a 1-to-1. Recycle only or an overall allocation. So to highlight those, recycle means I eliminated, let's use proper terms here, right? So I eliminated all of the waste as part of the allocation and just looked at the recycle. The overall allocation is all tonnage, including waste. Okay, so that's the 2 different allocation approaches you can see there between the overall versus the recycle allocations. I broke it down. The cost centers, based on what we talked about last meeting, did the best I could here as far as what our cost centers would be. Trash and waste, specialty and hazardous, cardboard, plastic, metal, glass. So that's our 4 recycles. Administrative, I did office and admin and billing. And then some miscellaneous ones because we do a lot of intersite. People have asked about that quite a bit. So intersite, hauling, and local pickups because we do go around to businesses and pick up local businesses. So I have those out there broken out. The ones that were for general site, what I did on those is I allocated. So if somebody said I was just cleaning up the site, well, I can't really allocate that to one thing. So what I did on that was I did a general site allocation, again, based upon the tonnage. So that's the general site. I don't think you even have that column because I pushed all that out. So you won't see that. Mine shows that. But that's the cost seg, the approach we took. Again, I could probably poke a million holes in this, but that's with the time allotment that we had and the limited data set, that was the best approach we could come up with to allocate those expenses. Questions? I'm looking at you, Randy. I know they're
Yeah,
coming.
you know, between version, you've got a version 1 and a version 2.
Yes, version 1 did not have anything associated with glass and metal, and it was missing 2 timesheets. So that's, yeah.
That's the difference, because I'm looking at different numbers than I have.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, version 2 has all the timesheets from that 2-week span, and it also includes the actual numbers for glass and metal as well.
So let me just go through here to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly. Trash and waste.
Yep.
We, our expense was $138,375. Deduct our income, so we lost $74,223
Correct.
on providing that service.
Correct.
And that's just direct costs.
That is the allocated time,
Yes.
yes, and the direct costs associated with it, which is
Tipping fees and those things,
Yeah.
okay. And then the next item here is the specialty hazardous. And we lost $15,088 on that one. Cardboard, we lost $39,993 on that one. Plastic, we lost $18,870 on that one. Metal, we lost $732 on that. Glass, we lost $6,646 on that one. And if I'm on the right sheet here, we're going to administration, which doesn't show a loss, but that's because you included the
That's
$45 fee.
which would be spread over all of the recycles.
$376,842 plus some interest and other
Yeah.
miscellaneous income. So if I'm looking at this again, our total expense for administration is $147,045 plus billing, another $32,281, correct?
Yep.
And on my old sheet, I was coming up to $179,326, but I don't know if the numbers
That's still the same.
bank.
Yep.
Okay. And then in addition to that, we have additional expenses of local pickup, hauling, and interstate driving, which reflect $39,696 in loss, $1,580, $2,734, which in the real world, all of these things would have to be part of the cost associated with delivering the service.
Primarily recycles, yes. Yep.
So what's reflected on the cost of all the recycling is only a portion of what truly the cost.
Yeah, that other 42,000 would be allocated to those. Those were called out specifically in that meeting, so that's why I broke those out separately.
Right.
But yeah, the admin, the household fees, I didn't push those into the respective recycle areas, but that is what would be originally, the bag tags were meant to cover themselves,
Right.
okay?
If
And
I
I'm
can
gonna,
interject,
Yeah.
the metal or the cardboard was very low last year.
but
all
we
year
can't,
long.
yeah, you can't control those things, and that's
Correct.
where when the trash tags were last assessed, and I've been a part of it since before they were increased, they looked at only tipping fees. And at the time that they thought that was the best approach, good, bad, or indifferent, I think in light of this cost study, you can see that it's much more expensive than just the tipping fees for handling the waste on site. From selling the tags to moving the trash around, to compacting it, to fixing the compactor, to calling them and saying, hey, your compactor's broke again, the headaches associated with that. The time associated with that is much more than just the tipping fees. And so the tag fees were originally meant to cover themselves, and that's not the case in this. The household fees were meant to originally cover recycles. And again, just stating facts as it was previously stated in prior meetings. So that's the two things that I would highlight. If anything, this kind of shows is just how much it truly costs us to provide those types of services. And then again, I would remind you that Branchville is significantly more expensive than Cannleton as we think through the tags and household fees as far as providing that service at Branchville site versus Cannleton site.
Unless you come back and you reallocate the administrative fees more to Cannleton, because there is more of a staff up there versus the Branchville.
Yep.
Where you're looking at 5 cents versus 9 cents out there. I ran through those numbers, and if we have just, I just pulled the tonnage numbers, and if a bag averaged 20 pounds per bag, we should have collected $99,057 in tag fees, and we only got 64,000. Now, I don't know what the average bag will weigh, but I also did it for 30. And I also looked at Branchville, and a 20-pound bag using those same kind of numbers cost us $1.80. Or if a 30-pound bag, it would be $2.70. And what are we charging, $1.50?
Mhm.
And that isn't any consideration whatsoever of the administrative costs.
Right.
This is strictly tipping fees.
Yep.
So something's, and then I go back and I looked at the tipping fees because I personally have a dumpster myself. And I roughly figured that I could put, at the price I pay, I could put 20 dumpsters and have them dumped once a week for the amount of revenue we're spending in tipping fees. So, and what they do in that, there's no cost with it. I fill up my dumpster and it weighs what it weighs. They dump it, they take it away, and it goes. And I think that if you had a fleet of dumpsters, it would probably be cheaper, especially on one site like that. So I'm thinking our costs, whatever we're paying for some of these services, just doesn't seem correct. The administrative being that huge of a portion of this, we're looking at $180,000. Seems excessive.
I will say that the two administrators, Chris being one of them, that was a heavy week for her in the office. So again, on a 2-week time study, there wasn't, I don't think any of your time was allocated outside of the office. So if we were to do this and she were to track it over a quarter, it would take some of the skew out of it. Because right now we're artificially heavy, I would say, on the admin side. But again, if you allocate a portion of it out, then you're still just increasing those costs.
Yeah.
So
But we still have several. It seems like everyone that's a listed person over there has some administrative time.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure what someone that works in the yard does as far as administration. I don't know. But it seems like we're over administrating too many chiefs. I don't know. There's too many hours there for what we're doing. So that
Might I interject again? That was also when Marcia's no longer there.
I know, this is all based on 2023. I mean, we don't have
Marcia was
numbers
there.
for 2024. I understand that.
Yep.
But I mean, the revenue, the tonnage, everything's based on 2023. To inject 2024 numbers into 2023 and say, well, in the real world, they're no longer there, this wouldn't be the same, is becoming speculative.
Yeah.
So we have to base it upon what numbers that we actually
the actual
have.
numbers, yeah.
To target. So I'm saying these areas are of concern. I don't know that anyone here has said that we're no longer going to have trash service in the county. I don't think that's going to be the case. The county before solid waste, some of the old guys like me remember the dumpsters that they had setting out in various locations, and they were always full and over full, and they were just a super mess. We don't want to go back to that again. So I don't, to me, I'm just one vote that I don't perceive that happening. But I do think we need to, it's just like some of our costs. I looked at the hours associated, just like per ton of cardboard. We expend about 3 hours worth of labor plus local pickup, whatever that amounts to. And the plastic revenue, we're 12 hours per ton. Revenue in plastic substantially less than cardboard. So we have to weigh, what we're actually dealing in. I know glass is a very ugly one also. And we're spending money, somebody else's money. That's with all taxes involved. So I think we need to consider whether all these services that we're currently providing, we can justify them for the cost, and then look at the issues on how we can bring some efficiencies in. If we pass a $45 charge and not address these things, then we're telling the public is that we can't manage the business, so we'll charge you for it, and think about it next year, my opinion. So, anybody else?
Do we have to make money? Is this solid waste a money maker? Or are we supposed to just collect and redistribute? Collect the trash, recycle, regardless of what it costs? I mean, are you suggesting we raise the fee to accommodate the additional expense? Or are you saying we're gonna not collect glass and just to let it come into the environment?
Well, see, what we have to weigh is a cost-benefit ratio. If it costs us,
I know that, I understand that,
okay.
but what,
So I
What are
mean,
you
we
suggesting
can
then?
go beyond that, and if the community comes in and tells us, we don't want to pay $45, we want to pay $145, and we want the solid waste to collect anything and everything and recycle it, then the community has made that decision. And then, obviously, there's not a profit there, it's just taking a waste stream out and recycling it, is what we're doing. Now, most of the recycling entities within the state of Indiana select certain items they recycle and other things goes into the landfill based upon complexities of recycling. I know Spencer County takes 2 types of plastic. They don't want any of the others. It's just simply because it's too costly, and they would have to go back to the taxpayer and say, I need more money if we're gonna take these other types of plastic. So it's basically, you've got to weigh what the community expectations are.
I don't think having a surplus in any given year is a negative thing when we've got site improvements that need to happen. We've got very aged equipment and things like that. I think we've been running on a thin budget that could definitely use some extra from us if we had surplus. If cardboard prices shoot back through the roof and all of a sudden we have $30,000, $40,000 extra at the end of the year, great. Now we can plan with that money. Right now we've kind of been playing catch up, so to speak. We don't have
Plus, we wouldn't have been this long.
we don't have a capital improvements fund, we have one, but it's been seriously depleted in the past few years. And I think the other thing to keep in mind, again, there's 2 sets of fees here. There's the household fees, which are essentially a tax. People don't have a choice, they have to pay it. And then you got the bag fees, which is for trash, and that's a convenience fee. I could pay one waste to come out here and collect at my house. I could pay to drive to a landfill and drop off my trash, or I can pay a tag fee to drop it off at a site. That's an elective fee. So that's the other thing I want to, again, highlight is there's 2 sets of fees here. There's essentially a tax or an assessment, non-negotiable, and then there's a bag fee. So keep that in mind, I think, as we weigh these options.
So the bag fee, $1.50 a tag.
Both sides, flat fee.
Yeah. So is that covering the household fees that you think it should, or should that be?
No, it's
We're losing.
significant. Yeah, we're losing a lot.
So we need
On
to probably
waste.
raise that part.
That's one option on the table, I think. That would be and then whether it's the same at both sites, I think would be a discussion to be had.
You know, personally, I don't have a dumpster, and I like to take my stuff in the can.
Right.
And I'd gladly pay $1.50, but I would gladly pay $3.
Yeah.
You know,
Those fees were increased in 2019, the last one?
2020, I think.
2020, pre-COVID, when fuel
Yeah,
prices have gone up, I mean, the average inflation's been what, 30%
I wanna say
on groceries, 40% on groceries in the last 3 years?
January, February, because I remember people confused the $1.50. It was $1, and they increased it $1.50. They confused it with Tell City.
Right.
You have people on Facebook, oh, that new mayor, that's going to his salary. I thought, it's not even our trash tax. Why are you trashing me on Facebook or in my
Not
salary?
you, Chris.
It was, and I thought, what did I do? It was just, again, false information that people are spreading and
Yep.
didn't know. But that's why I remember when it happened, so.
See, Gail, you also need to look at how come your tipping fees are a nickel at Hamilton and 9 cents in Branchville.
Yeah.
We have a problem somewhere.
Well, it's because we have to use waste management for Branchville because there's a compactor. At Hamilton, it's 5 Gen that picks up our trucks. They're just regular containers that we dump the garbage in. And that is taken to the county and to their landfill. At Branchville, because we use a compactor, that is waste management.
I think that's Randy's question is, do we have to use a compactor? I don't know that answer.
Exactly, we don't have to. And the second thing, just by hauling loose trash off is not an efficient way of handling solid waste, disposal.
They put the heavier items on top. This is the way it's been.
I know, but I'm saying, I know Randy Cleaving made mention to me, he's been on here a lot longer than everybody. And he said that in previous years, that Cannleton brought their compactor down and they compacted it and hauled it far, the solid waste. Now, I don't know whether they would still entertain something like that or whether there would be a cost savings. But those are the type of things that we need to explore, how we might be able to do that. Maybe we need to buy our own compactor and hire someone local just to do the trucking part of it. But those are the things that I believe the board, rather than just continuing as we are with these mounting losses, to me, isn't the answer. The answer is, you look at your waste stream, you determine a more efficient, effective way of handling it. You raise the bag tags to support the trash you're picking up. You shouldn't, one person in the county that has a dumpster and never uses the service shouldn't be asked to subsidize someone who takes all of their trash to that service. So this is my thoughts on it.
We could look into, and I mentioned it to us prior to the meeting, do we have it where we back in a trailer and they just dump it into it, Branchville, and then we have someone like another company come and just haul it and take it to Owensboro the way we do in Camden. That is a thought, but then we have to make sure that nothing gets in it to take it out. It doesn't have to be a compactor, but that does allow us to get more into it because it's compacted. It's not that, the changes have to be made. We can do that. We just can't stop it and drop it and walk away from it. So looking at doing something like that is possible. That's just the way it is now for whatever reasons, however long they've been doing it. And I don't know why they decided to do that and have that, but that's what we have at this time. So looking at it, doing it, or having, who we have now does not do that. They don't, hauling it out of Hamilton, they cannot haul out of Branchville the way it is.
I'd be curious to know how many dumpsters 5 Gen could get in replacement of our compactor and what their fee would be to tip that weekly. And if those X amount of dumpsters would support the trash that we're getting dropped out there on a weekly basis.
And if you had a relationship, and you have several waste providers, that if you had a row of them and I only filled up 5, would you dump 5 and charge us for 5 instead of charging us for 10?
Right.
So that becomes a relationship commitment. They would have to bring the asset, which is the dumpster, out, but they have to recognize that at some weeks they may be full, other weeks they may not be full.
Wintertime
And then
is not
we
gonna be
would-
the same as
Yeah, we
summertime,
would pay
right?
proportionate to that, and then it would be more cost effective. But that takes reaching out to the different providers, see what they're offering, along with exploring buying your own equipment. I mean, it's a one-time investment, but then do we have the resources here to haul it? Maybe locally, maybe 5 Gen can do it, maybe someone else can do it. But where we can make that a more efficient process so that we don't have to ask a guy to pay $3 for a tag. But that's what management leadership's about, making those things and trying to serve the public.
Just before the meeting, I was talking to Scott Dixon, and he runs kind of a transfer dumpster type facility. Not as large as what 5 Gen does, but it's growing. He's started with 1 and 2, and he's got, how many does he have now, Mike? Probably 10 or more?
10, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing well with it. And he made a suggestion to me that I agree with him that, and we're far from this point today doing this, but is look at a transfer station that would be ran by the solid waste or the county or whatever. The cost savings and the profits it could make could be endless, because I know other transfer stations are actually looking at increasing the tonnage and the cost, which is going to make it harder for people to do there. If we had that here, Tell City, we take our trash to Davis County outside of Owensboro. I'm not sure where Cannleton or Troy hauls theirs, but it might be the same place or somewhere.
Cannleton's the same.
We spend a lot of money by driving all the way to Owensboro. It's cheaper for us to take it to Owensboro, to theirs, than to the one in Hallsville.
Absolutely.
And it's a shame, because you think of labor, time, wear and tear in the trash truck, and just whatever else, gas. We had it here in Perry County, those dollars would stay here, saving everybody money and solid waste making money.
So would the city be interested in building one of those? I think the county would like to participate.
Well, that's what I was saying.
I'm saying the city operate it and run it, and I think the county then would be more than happy to provide trash to that.
Well, no,
If
that's
you want to do it.
no, that's
I mean, that's what we need, somebody to step up that will take on that challenge.
I think the
Yeah, we're
county
gonna-
has more land.
Let me be really blunt about this. Nobody will want to live next to the transfer station.
Right.
I will tell you that. And one of the problems you have, we will have low volume. Over in Lewisport, they don't have enough volume, their price is high. So what does everybody do? It's cheaper for them to drive to Owensboro. That's exactly what will happen to you here. You don't have the volume, and it's just like, it's no different than waste management when they come up, dump the cardboard off. They're recognizing it's not profitable for them. So we'll dump it, I'll take my truck and go on and start working my rest of my cardboard route, and it's more cost effective for me. So
well, I was just bringing it up.
if you want to do that, we're more than willing to participate.
How I started out the conversation would be the solid waste, not Tell City, but I'm looking at ways for us to make money to lower that $45 fee or eliminate it altogether through that type of service. And I agree, people may not want to live next to it. There's all kinds of hurdles. It's just, I'm looking at options to save the taxpayer money.
What it does, Chris, anybody that's involved, whether it's 5Gen or anybody else, the quicker they can turn around their vehicles and their trash equipment,
Yep.
it's more profitable to them.
I would agree.
To those people in that business, they'd like to drive as few miles, just like you would
Sure.
with the city trash.
Yeah,
You'd
I'm just-
you'd love to take it to Lewisport, because your turnaround time would be so much quicker.
Does
Yep.
the city use Owensboro?
Yes.
That's what,
We-
I know
we had-
Cannleton does. Yeah.
We had priced the one in Hallsville since I've been in, I think even before. I think at one time we might have even used it for a period. And it's believe it or not, it's cheaper to drive it further.
Right, and
We
that's what
tried.
Cannleton found out the hard way, was the financial part of it. And that's
tried.
what we do, and that's because that's what Luxrings does, and we also pay them, and we pay Davis County. It's,
Right, it's just a matter of the math.
Yeah.
My cost for the extra miles and the time and the wear and tear on my vehicle versus the costs for the higher tonnage.
And we have people that call all the time and ask where they can go with certain things that we don't take.
Yeah.
And I tell them they can go to Lewisport or to Davis County, because they'll call with wood, they're tearing down a house or can inherit a house or whatever.
Sure.
And I give them those options.
Yeah.
Because it is outrageously priced, but some people don't care about the price, they just want to do it quickly.
Sure. Convenience too.
Yeah.
Sometimes it costs more for convenience. I get that. But again, I was just trying to look at ways to, if something like that could be done, would it, if it's profitable,
It would be nice.
could it reduce or eliminate and support the solid waste district through that? And then there wouldn't be a cost other than people who want to do trash tags maybe, but that $45 fee would either be eliminated or drastically reduced.
And from
Just
where I
cost.
sit and with talking to people that don't want to pay that fee, and they don't want that. And I understand that. But when you start talking about, okay, we could have a lamp or we could have a station. My God, no, they don't want that.
No.
But you can't have everything you want and get away from the fee and do all that and have all that. Because when you don't want this and you want to do that and then you have that, the whole picture, when you explain all of it, they don't want it. They don't
Right.
want that. No one really wants to. The smokestack burning and you out and you smell it and you're like, what is that? As a little kid and you drive by and your parents say, well, that's that.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the most pleasant thing. It can be, not as bad as it used to be, but people don't want it. But they don't want a $45 fee. They don't want this. You don't want the garbage. There are different solutions to things, but you're going to find people that don't like it.
Yeah.
To reduce it, to make money, for us to make money and have it not as bad as it could be. There could be difficult things like, yeah, we do have a station here and we can make the money. Could it be out somewhere where it's not as bad and people that live near it don't mind it as much and, you know, their property taxes would be lower and they wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah.
But do people in general want it? No. No, who wants to? But could it be done and not be that bad? Yeah, it can. I've seen it. It's not as horrible, but it's got to be done right.
Sure. And who knows, maybe someone watching this stream, maybe an entrepreneur that own 100 acres out there that may say, you know, hey, I see $1 there and it would save us all a little money to
And
get
the people
closer.
that work there don't pay.
I'm all for that, you know,
Suggestion, Chris.
that's jobs, that's taxpayers coming in, making some money there. I'm cool with that.
Land and our entrepreneurs around here.
You know what? We got a lot of land and we got a lot of good entrepreneurs.
But
We
it's a
do.
beautiful county and no one wants to see it.
I would agree.
Understand, you know, I understand that people say $45, I don't want to pay it, I don't like it, I don't use it. There's a bigger picture.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not here to stand and say to belittle them that don't like that. There are things to be revamped. This is how it was. Wes has knowledge beyond most of us. You know, when Marcia passed away, she took a lot of knowledge with her. Did not know. You know, the price on the things on the study from 2023. Cardboard was at a very low. The year prior, if we'd done the study in 2022, cardboard was 145, 150 a ton. Last year, most of it was, what, 80? There were times it was $40 a ton. So I look at that and I get, yeah, I guess I do get a little defensive because I know that it would have been better if we'd done the study in 2022, at least on cardboard. But, you know, I want the change to stay afloat. I want it to be better and I want to keep it going. So being negative about it is a little personal. I get that and I know that, but I want to keep it going as much as I can and look at, I know how hard those people work. I've sat with them, I've worked with them, and I've covered for people, and I know. So when it's, you know, I'd like to see Branchville open another day because I know it can be used and it can be open. I know that. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But I know what comes in there. I know how grateful the people are, and that's why I keep saying it is used, it is needed. And I know it's not perfect, but let's figure out what can do it better. Because the man that's out there could work another day and be busy all day. I know I could go out there, I don't mind going out there, I'm salaried. I could go out there and work another day and cover it another day and be busy. And I know what numbers say, I know what things look like on paper, but when you're not, when you sit and you look at it, it's one thing, but when you're out there working and you see it and you're with the people, it's something different. And I'm the one that brings that to you, and that's maybe where my passion comes too much. And I've been in Hamilton and worked and seen it and been in the cages, and I've worked and I have bailed and I have sweated with them and I work with them, and I know what they're making per hour. And believe me, if I could give them a raise, I would. We don't have the money. I'm more worried about keeping them working. That's all. And I know what numbers say. But they got to keep working because we need this.
From what I see, you know, the feelings of the board is not to eliminate it. We just have to figure out how to fund it.
Absolutely. And changing things are great.
Any more questions for me?
Good report.
Yeah.
Thank you for your.
Do you have any suggestions? Because
I'll
those
go
top,
on record for that
those
one,
top-notch accounting firms always come up with a solution.
I can tell you what the numbers say.
No, but they always come up with a solution.
I think if your goal is to cover the tags, or tags cover themselves on waste, then I think that's the first step, is increasing that. Once that's done, you can go back, Chris can tell you exactly how many tags were sold by site last year, and you can say, here's what our total adjusted costs were for 23, and figure out what, now that's assuming a overall, one time, one fee. If Branchville is going to continue to be significantly more expensive, then maybe Branchville needs to pay a different fee than what Camden pays. But I think we can look into having Waste Management or 5Gen or whoever else drop dumpsters instead of dropping a compactor out there, see what that would cost, see how much it would save us. And then if we need to open up another day a week to fill all 5 of those dumpsters because they won't negotiate the price, you're either getting all 5 or not all 5, then that's what we can do. But I think that's step one when I look at the numbers and I see how much waste is truly costing us, is we got to look at bag or tag fees first. And then from there, you can assess how much do the people need to pay to cover what's left.
And part of
on the
that
recycles.
is there a more efficient way to handle the waste, less costly?
Yeah.
And then what really is required as far as administration is concerned?
Yep.
When you look at $180,000 in administrative costs,
That's when you can start getting into strategy of, do we need the office out here? Or do we want to push those out to the sites? Do we need to have our own truck that could haul versus paying 5Gen to come out? We can't get to strategy right now because we can't get past the numbers. And I feel like that's, and to say it bluntly, we're strapping ourselves because we keep getting caught up in the numbers and we don't have the freedom to go out and look at the strategy and spend time chasing after cost savings, cost reductions, more efficient operations. So that would be my suggestion is
and
look at the
this, but
tags.
the problem of it is, this didn't happen overnight.
Yep.
This has been an ongoing issue that's just been, as we call it, kick the can down the road. What we ended up doing is pass the inefficiencies on by raising what people pay
Yep.
on an annual basis.
That's the easy
In order-
answer.
That's the easy answer.
It's not the
Don't
right
make
answer.
me look at what might be
Yep.
needed revisited, but just raise the price, raise the price.
Raising the tag fee would encourage recycling.
Correct,
I think.
which is the goal of the district.
Right.
And it
Not
also
to
cover,
make money.
yeah,
One of the things that I suspect, and I've watched the Derby side, it's unmanned and it requires sorting. It has to, because of just what gets tossed in there. So if we find ourselves, and this is what I'm fearful of, is some of the costs associated with tipping fees are actually people that think they're recycling, throwing their waste into those trailers, and in reality, it's costing us labor to sort them. Then the waste is going into the dumpster, and the district is actually paying the tipping fees because there's no tag attached to any of that. So it creates a bit of a problem there, how that works. So,
Chris, I should know, but there's a weight limit on how much each bag should weigh, right, on that tag. Is it 30 pounds or
It's 30 to 40.
30 to 40? Okay. And I know sometimes there's a gallon size that I don't know how much that's really
Yeah.
regulated.
said,
The
you boys
the
guys
black,
40 gallon.
the black bags
Yeah,
hold about 40, and it's that. Now, people will come in with like 3 white bags.
in a black, sure, that
And
makes sense.
We do
Yeah.
one bag for that, like, because some people don't have the black bags. And so, you
Yeah.
know, a normal,
Nice.
you know,
I'm like, they do it out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just curious, so, because I know we have in Patel City, you know, your gallons versus the weight it's required to be in.
and if,
I didn't know
and
if
a
that
lot
was
of
right.
times, you know, you're out there and you're moving it with them, and it's that. Some people come up and say it's really full, it takes 2 tags.
Sure.
We have a lot of very honest people out there that say it's a black bag, but it's real heavy, so I need 2 tags
Yeah.
for it.
If you have a 40-gallon bag full of styrofoam, it's probably not going to weigh much.
And out at Branchville, because there's one person, and they're usually in there doing the tags. So it's hard to be out there by there to know if it's a really heavy, and if it was really heavy, you would know, and you'd say, this is 2 tags.
Sure.
You know, so you do depend on the honesty of people.
And I think that kind of goes where Randy was going. Some of like your weight versus your tags didn't quite line up.
Right.
And I knew what he meant. And
Yeah.
Is that where you were going with that?
If you had a scale out there and someone,
that's
that
the
would take,
concept.
yeah, if you had a scale out there and there were 2 people there because.
See, and part of your challenge is at Branchville, and I think this is another area you need to look at, Spencer County doesn't sell any tags at the site.
Incredibly time consuming.
Yeah.
We're talking about,
And
there's no oversight can happen when they're busy.
what
selling
happens if
tags.
you have one individual at Branchville and they're busy selling tags, then who's monitoring the bags that go into the compactor?
And that is why,
And you can then find yourself accepting bags of trash with no
But
tags.
if other
Right.
businesses will pay the man hours to sell the tags for us as a convenience to our citizens, why would we pay those man hours? Just saying, why would we pay those man hours if other businesses are willing to absorb that? So again, that's the efficiency side that I think we can explore if we can get past the hurdle of,
Well, it eliminates the need for accepting credit cards, cash, whatever at the site.
Mhm.
And Spencer County just doesn't do it. You've got to have the tag.
Well, we've also got to decide soon because Walmart, as he stated earlier, has 40 orange tags.
And they can no longer
Left.
accept them the old way where I go in the back and sign in and check them in.
And Chris, I said, Connie, well, I'll help you. I don't know how to do it, but I'll figure it out. But I'll help you any way we can to move that process along to get the credentials, whatever you want to call it, so that works for Walmart. So when Perry County residents go up there to get those tags, they can get them.
And
There may be a law where there's a few weeks, depends on how smooth things go. But
he's top on my list tomorrow.
I mean, there's only 4 of us here, and I think we need our full board more to make some of these decisions. But in my opinion, I would continue to sell the tags. I don't think this is gonna go away. In worst case scenario, the county will make it right. We'll step up. We're not gonna allow trash to be thrown all over the county. So I don't see that as an issue. Well, if the tags become worthless, I'll do what I can do to get people's money back to them. We're not gonna take advantage of anybody that mistakenly purchased tags that can't use them. And I cannot support allowing trash to be thrown all over the county. And I think the rest of the people would be similar, the elected folks. So I don't see that as an obstacle. Now, the rest of it, I really do think we need to put the time in, because I think if we don't put it in and make some hard decisions, we'll find ourselves in this position next year discussing the same thing.
But my thing is, I feel like there's still no decision on where the money's gonna be paid.
what's going to happen come September 1st?
That's my thing. I have
That's it.
people who are gonna turn in time cards in August. There's still nothing tonight being said about money. That was my goal for this meeting, to get where
Where can we pick up our efficiencies?
Randy, I feel like you want to promise on efficiency before you'll hand over money. And this has been operating inefficiently for a long time, but the money was still there and being paid. And now I feel like this is a standoff. What do you want? What are your 3 things that you want efficiency on before you'll give me money?
First of all, I don't have that exclusive choice to handle.
But you're.
But what I want right now is I want a more effective, efficient way of handling the tipping fees and anything associated with trash. I think that is critical. That service must continue. That's number 1. Then we need to look at, I think we could possibly take cardboard and be okay. But we need to look at all of our administrative costs associated with running this. And I, for one, believe probably the Armory Annex office isn't required. It needs to be site-specific, and then we need to build out a schedule, Branchville, Hamilton, what we're gonna open up and what we're going to accept, what days we're gonna do it, and then we're gonna determine the size and the people we need to operate those and the management associated with operating that. We'll come to a number. We'll say, based upon 2023, if we would have incorporated these changes, it would cost us X number of dollars. The county took money and set it aside back in November on our edit plan to pay our portion of this. That money is still there. Okay, so the county has taken that responsible step. So, but I can't ask the county taxpayers to step up and say, we've been doing it this way for 20, 30 years. Let's just continue to do it, and let's just continue to charge you.
But you did that in November.
I did it in November, and I really truly thought that by January 1st, we'd be in a different perspective. The funding would come through the edit money, and during this year, rather than discussing funding, we'd be discussing efficiencies, so we could get this thing more manageable, more efficient. And then we would have went through this interim period of edit money, and then we'd know where we were come 2025.
Okay, so
But that never occurred. So here we are with the money issue, no decisions on efficiencies, and we're spending our capital.
Okay,
If
so,
we, hang on, Chris, hang on. If we can, efficiency wise, if we can get answers on, because I agree, like, I think we need to come up with what would our new cost be if we are more efficient in these 3 or 4 areas, right?
And that's,
If we
this
can-
means contacting waste
Correct.
suppliers and saying, hey,
So if we give Chris three things to explore for efficiency by the next meeting, then.
we don't have to wait for another meeting, have it once a month. Whenever these things come about, if she can put solid numbers down with a plan, I mean, we can meet in 2 weeks. We don't have to wait a month.
I hope not.
We do this all the time. We have special meetings. It's not a big thing, but what we need to do is have something that is actually numbers.
Because I gotta have time to get the savings.
Because it's not just me.
So it depends on,
Right.
right, so it depends how much between, if it takes a month, it takes a month, but I'm saying if it takes 2 weeks, there's no reason to wait 2 more weeks.
What are my question is, so efficiencies are very broad term. What are our 3 priorities or 4 priorities?
One thing I believe county-wise is
Hold off on that.
continuing to accept the waste, the solid waste from the people who live in there. Some method or means or whatever, I'm assuming bag tags is how we'll do it, because that means the individual who chooses to use the service pays the fee. So that is
So I
critical
think that's
in my eyes.
explore Branchville, because that's the one that's incredibly expensive.
Branchville, and while you're at it, look also at Camden.
If there's that option.
Potentially, I don't know whether Camden would consider, providing a service to compact it and haul it. And it may be less expensive than the method you're currently using. I don't know. That's a question for Camden and their people, whether they would consider it. That's what they used to do.
I think my concern and Chris's concern is I just want to know at what point do we say, yep, we evaluated enough efficiencies that we can sign off on a increase in tag fees or an increase or decrease in the fees for households? Is there a number? Is there a target on a board that we're shooting for here? Because I think if we just keep saying, because I agree, I think the idea of doing it this way, because it's always been done this way, is not the appropriate answer. But at some point, I think it is.
And even Wes, if you look at this, it's just like Chris made the statement about glass, and the glass guy will come and pick it up.
It doesn't cost us anything.
Yeah, I am not opposed to collecting glass in a metal container at Branchville, as long as they will come to Branchville with their truck, pick the glass up, irregardless of what kind, if it's not sorted properly, whatever, and take on that challenge. That's great. That way, we've provided a bin, they've provided everything else required.
It's not gonna happen.
Okay, so we need to quit picking it up then.
Okay,
It's way too costly.
But Randy, when that is picked up at Branchville, the gentleman that drives out and takes it makes about $10 an hour. He brings out an empty trailer, he switches it, drives back. Then they dump it in. The 2 people or 3 each one makes $9 an hour, the other 2 that make $8.67 an hour. It might take them an hour. There's your time study on that. It's not worth it. They load it into a trailer.
What happens if those people have to make $14 an hour? Then all of a sudden a product
No,
that we lose.
wait. That's what the reality is right now.
I know, but what it is then, just add up every one of those. That truck you put in has to have gasoline put in it. It has to have
Okay,
oil.
okay.
It has to be purchased. It has tires. It has to be insured.
But
It has to be license plate.
that is the
So-
reality right now.
Exactly.
Why can't we continue that so that we're recycling the glass with that? Why is the glass that much of a problem for us to continue doing that when we also get glass from the people that bring it into Hamilton? Why do I have to stop taking glass out of Branchville?
I'm saying glass in general. Glass is a loser.
So do you know that if we could stop that,
I'm just gonna
then
look.
that is going to increase the garbage that people are going to take. That increases the garbage. Then people are going to have more garbage in their stuff.
And that means whoever puts their garbage in there will pay the fee, instead of you asking the county residents to subsidize the glass and the garbage for someone else. That puts it back on
So we'll
the
stop
person with it.
taking, you're that stuck on the glass.
I'm just saying as an
That's just an
example.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, if we have plastic that does similar things, we've got to start looking at going, how many thousands of dollars are we willing to put into this program, and how many tons are we pulling out? If we pull 10 tons out, of a landfill, for instance, and I don't know what the fee is, $40 or $50. If we pull that out, okay, in the big picture, and spend 12 times that amount of money on administrative people sorting and putting it whatever, is that really cost effective? Are we changing the world when we put this small, minute amount into a landfill while we burden the local taxpayer for that amount of money? Those are the decisions you have to make. You can't be all things to all people unless you've got a super huge wallet. And obviously people aren't that interested in paying.
I want to reel this in. We have, their council meeting starts at 6 minutes. We spent 20 minutes average talking about glass and got nowhere.
Okay, so,
The program's broke September 1st. September 1st, you're broke. You're out of money, it's bankrupt, it's done, no more service.
yeah, so you want,
Rancho has nowhere to take their trash. Tell City can take our recyclables elsewhere. We've got plans. We're good. Tell City we're not seeing disruption in their service, but the county and others will. Where are we at? What are we doing?
so he
I'm
wants
tired of
two
making this a
things.
student.
You want,
So if the city already has their self taken care of, this strictly becomes a county issue.
No, I'm just saying if our cardboard stuff, if it goes bankrupt and closes up, we will make accommodations so our residents don't suffer.
But you guys have got you've got your plan already put together.
Well, we have to have a plan because I'm not going to let our residents be without.
So you've got a plan for Tell City, so this becomes more of a county issue. So what we need to do is discuss this with the other counties.
well, then what's gonna happen is, so you want me no longer in the office at the annex building.
What task are you, explain to
We're
me,
still not there.
and we're gonna get into their.
We're just tapping
Well,
around
you
it all.
want your three things to release money, and you said one is administrative. So I guess that means
The
you don't
agenda.
want me there, so I take all the computers out and take them to either Branchville or Cannleton.
Correct.
That's something that needs to be explored. I think that's what he's saying.
Okay, again, so back to
Is that what we're doing?
we're tap dancing around it. September, if you send out bills today, you're still broke come September.
Yeah.
What are we
He's
gonna,
holding on to
what are we-
money.
what are we gonna do?
I-
there's no answer yet. That's all I'm asking. I want to,
I'll say this, that maybe Randy should, his three requirements to release the money that the county has that might get us through the rest of the year, that will pay the employees that go to work and the other people, he should, in an email the whole board and include him and say what he requires. And we'll see, I guess that's where we're at. I don't know.
Chris, I'm one person.
So that's what you just said, what you require. I asked you,
I-
what do you require, Randy?
And I don't know where the three things came from. I am saying, I think
I asked
an
that.
efficient,
I'll clarify that. I was the one that said, let's think of a few things that we can explore.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to move
But I'm
the needle
okay.
is all I'm trying to do.
No, I asked what things do
I don't
you
have three things. I've got a number of things to try to determine before we just, once again, burden the taxpayer with supporting something that's apparently inefficient.
It has been inefficient.
That has been, but because it's been inefficient for
That's
years
not
and
my
years,
point. My
doesn't.
point is that you're holding money and not letting this go because these things can be fixed while it's operating.
Okay, the county set aside edit funds.
Yes.
One entity out of all of the group of individual city
Yes, sir.
governments, county governments that receive edit funds. So you're asking the county to pay total solid waste costs.
No, sir, what I stated earlier is we submitted a budget
I know,
that was
to the
for the
council.
$45 fee to be paid by property owners, no matter where they live. That was submitted and voted on and submitted to the commissioners and everyone,
Not the commissioners, the council.
the council, sorry, I misspoke. Was voted on here, then voted on there and accepted, sent to Indianapolis. You, sir, proposed in November that you had another way of paying for it. It was voted on and accepted. You have not released that money, or whoever said B Powers have not released the money. This department, this entity, has not received any of that money and is now broke. There's the problem. Flat out, we have no money, and now I have no money to pay people. I have no money to pay the bills that are coming in, and that is the problem. And here I stand in June, after May, the meeting we had, and now in June, and you, sir, are stuck on this. And as I said in May, the problems can be fixed
and can be fixed. But that is not what you seem to want. You want to stop it before you'll release money, and you're worried about that. I am down to basically one person working in that office. That is me. Because Marcia passed away, Hannah is not there that often because, one, she knows we don't have the money. So you are down to me, and I'm salaried.
I think we had, in your study there, Wes, did we not have hours in for Hannah?
Yes, there were some hours, but she has hardly been there since then. Yes, she has had some hours.
Yeah.
So no, let's say this right now. She is hardly there because she knows we don't have the money. She might work 2 hours a day because I asked her to do something. Yes, that is the reality of it. And don't think that there aren't things that I have to. I work at 5:30 in the morning sometimes. I told you earlier, I sometimes get phone calls at 11 o'clock at night, 7 days a week. The Camilton site has employees 7 days a week. I work 7 days a week. On the time study did not put that down. I put my hours Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, 9 to 5, whatever. You did not get all of my hours. Sir, you did not. Because you know why? Because you don't need them. You don't know the hours I work. You don't know when I go out and sweat at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and stay and work, and I work and then go back and do more work at night at 11 o'clock at night. You are holding money that you promised, that you had the idea to pay from the county in November. You have not released that money. You have not paid that money. You want time studies in order to get it, and it's wrong. People out there need that recycling center. People in Camilton need it, and you want a time study. You want to know what I do in 15-minute increments? Sir, I work my butt off. I multitask. And what I do, you don't need to know, because you want to fire me, they'll figure out what all I do. And everyone else that sat back, like I told you, sir, I know that people want to shut it down. I've known that for months and a long time. I like you. I think you're a pretty good guy. But what you're doing is wrong.
Board, what's gonna happen. And I will tell you, I would not blame Chris if she doesn't turn her notice in tomorrow and quits. And if she does, then what? Just throwing it out there, it's gonna be a problem. I hope that doesn't happen. I mean, I know she's very passionate about it, and she sometimes says some things that maybe she shouldn't. But here we are. I hope she doesn't quit, because if she does, I think this board's going to have to be out there slinging those bags if you want to know the truth. So.
Well, Chris definitely is passionate about her job, and, it'll be up to this board to find money to keep it going. We will do that. We have to go to the council and check on money. So, okay, are there any public comments for we adjourn?
Yeah, even if the whole year isn't released, can 2 months be released or something, so they're not worried about closing down tomorrow? And I understand the efficiencies, and that's great, but at what point do they call you to set up the special meeting? When what is accomplished?
I agree. That's what I was trying to ask, at what point, which if Chris does 20 efficiency or deficiencies and fixes them, at what point we decide, okay, now we can finish funding it or whatever, those are taken care of and those are better, and she's saving $5,000, $10,000, whatever on, I'm just throwing numbers out there, but at what point we're savings,
We can continue to improve efficiencies for 20 years, but at some point, they have to have done enough to call for that meeting. And at what point will that be enough that we can call that meeting and get them funded?
Thank you. You said it the way I was trying to.
And that's something that has to be determined. Yeah, we'll have to come up with. Okay, any other comments? Next meeting will be June 27th.
Nope, that's
today.
That's today.
Let's talk about.
It'll be in July sometime.
Is it July 27th?
Fourth Thursday in July. whatever that is.
Seriously gonna sit and wait a whole month?
Okay, wait,
That's,
I mean, why are you waiting a whole month?
that is just.
For
I've said that all along.
I mean,
It's going nowhere.
her,
I brought it up.
yeah, can I make a comment? I'm, okay. I'll-
We need a meeting every Friday till it's resolved.
September 1st, it's
I'm
done.
with Chris, and I guess is there a way that you can give her like a quarter of, because she's afraid that she won't even be able to carry on services for citizens like now, like in 3 weeks.
She's not even getting health insurance.
So is there, and if the money was already approved, why can't you vote on it to do it now throughout the end of the year and take that time to do a study and then in 2025, correct the wrongs?
Some kind of partial thing.
Right, can you
Right.
run
What you
that?
have, Megan, is that there's 4 entities that get edit money. The county set aside some money anticipating an interlocal agreement. Hamilton set aside money for an interlocal agreement. Tell City refused to use their edit funds, and Troy likewise refused to use their edit funds. So only 2 of the 4 had approved funding it through edit funds.
So is there enough for us
That's
to,
why it would be now, if we take strictly the county's edit funds, which have already been split into the other 4 entities, then it takes the county's funds that are already stretched to pay this service for the others that have got their edit money and can use it for whatever they please. Now, if the city wanted to come up with some edit funds,
no, wait a minute, but you have them already marked for the solid
it's
waste?
in a special use fund.
For the
It-
solid waste?
No.
So what's it for?
We have a special projects fund. So in the event that we get additional community crossings road money,
Okay,
we have to match that. We don't know until the state comes in and tells us we're gonna get it. We're applying for additional $500,000 in July.
okay.
We will need part of our edit funds in order to match that, if we're successful.
So what you're
It's set
saying is
aside,
the city would have to match it and
they
then.
would have to contribute, I would think, if they wanna put a Band-Aid on it.
So is there a way to fund her for the next, and the only reason I ask this is, I met with her a few weeks ago and they are so strict because nobody knows if they're gonna have a job. So is there a way to fund it through the end of the year, since last year in their budget, they thought they were gonna be operating this year and it was approved? Like, is there not a way to,
no, because that was typically funded off of the $45 fees that were not collected.
can we not bill that? I mean, like send out the $45 fee because that was it voted out not to do that completely?
I don't know that we ever voted on it, did we? I don't
I mean,
remember.
I don't know how many meetings you all have actually even had this year.
There's a lot of things that would have to change with, rates and stuff like that, ordinances, or that would have to, you just can't just go do that rate. You have to advertise it.
Sorry, I
It
just
can be
know
done
a
this
lot of
week.
people in the county aren't gonna be.
But, you know what I mean, as far as
Just not go through.
As far as the city goes, they had a legal opinion that says we could not use edit dollars for that. That was a legal opinion. Take it or believe it, don't believe it, whatever you want. That's a legal opinion. But also, as a result, if the county were to pay for the solid waste and only for certain residents to pay the $45 fee, i.e. tell city residents, you could say, and Troy residents in this case too, would violate the equal protection clause of the 14th Amendment. That's if the county would pay for that. They have to, Tell City residents are county residents too. Now, you're choosing to pay it out of edit, that's fair. You choose whatever you want, legal or not, that's your choice.
So you're saying that's illegal and we don't want to do anything illegal?
Well, that's what legal opinion said. I'm not gonna violate, normally, if I got a legal opinion as mayor, I'm not gonna normally violate a state statute or something that's gonna put a black X or a mark on the city's name, knowingly. And why get legal opinion if you're not gonna listen to it? I'm not a lawyer, I didn't go to law school. We didn't hire just a lawyer that got their degree online, that's for sure. They're credentialed, it's a very well-known law firm. It's why you have lawyers for legal opinions, why the county has an attorney to represent them and give them a legal opinion that keeps them out of trouble. That's what we did. That's what the council voted on. It wasn't, it was 3 against and 2 in favor. That's fine.
but something needs to be done today or it closes down, correct? By the next meeting?
I don't know.
Vote to send out the $45 bill and Chris can bill that? I mean, if the county doesn't want to use the edit fees,
I don't know the bills have been printed with dates on or what. I don't even know what's printed on the bills, to be honest. If they've been printed with the date that they were due, then they have to be reprinted. I don't know. I don't know.
it's so irritating. This is a.
That I don't know.
trouble, and the people are gonna lose their trash
Mhm.
service, like. if-
County residents, that don't rely on what, if you live in Tell City, we have a trash service we
Right.
provide.
I-
For those who do not, that rely on it outside of northern Perry County, they'll have an issue. It's not fair to them
I
either.
know. I-
Fair thing would have been for all this discussion to happen before the 45
There you go.
was not sent out.
Well, last spring, if we'd started talking about, or earlier than that, if we'd started discussing the changes that we're needing to make. We were presented with this plan in November, late November, early December, just popped up. So now we're starting the process of looking into what we can do.
I mean, it had to be common knowledge, if you're not bringing any money in, you're eventually gonna run out of money. So any sensible person would know, if we normally collect our money in March for $45 and it's June and we don't have any money, we haven't collected any money, and here we sit, I honestly feel that this was a planned intention to shut the solid waste down.
It's gonna happen, the way it appears.
I brought this up, our legal opinion, back in the spring.
What initiated all this, Chris, was your first statement, and it's probably back in October or so, about how we're charging motels for per room and how we're not charging nursing homes and the inequity between the charge. That's what got us started talking about the fairness associated with the $45 fee. The initiative then that I proposed was that government would pay the cost associated with this for 2024. We can find another way to pay for it if you're adamantly opposed to using edit funds, but governments would pay for this while we revisited all of these charges and why they're being assessed, to try to establish a fairness or change it, whatever we needed to do. Because it has went on year after year after year after year, and the only answer is add more money to the taxpayer, charge them more. Because the hard work of determining a fairness was never undertaken. That's what started the initiative, and it has been, we have not done anything to address how the functionality of this operation, what the cost is, what the fairness is, or anything else at all. So if we initiate, let's just charge everybody a fee again, that puts a Band-Aid on it for this year. We've done nothing to address it. We'll be at the first of next year with the same thing, no answers, no. At some point, we have to address.
I disagree with you on the fairness of what we've done. We have done some steps to look at cost savings and time studies. We
What
just
have we
did
done?
that. What Wes
Let's
just
put
did.
this together,
But we've done something. To say we've done nothing isn't truthful, I don't think. But I have made recommendations before that we should hire a professional consulting firm to evaluate who's billed, how they're billed, look at all the efficiencies and deficiencies and save the money. And to me, it fell on deaf ears. And now I would look at Baker Tilly. The county uses them. They are extremely, very good company, firm that can do good things. And maybe they could have gotten us out of this mess a long time ago if we just would have hired them. We could have been in good shape, but it fell on deaf ears, and here we are. Because I'm not saying any of us can't do it, but I think it'd be better to have a professional opinion done on something like that, of who should be billed, who shouldn't be billed, and how they're billed.
and it's gonna have to be based upon the costs associated.
And it would.
If you're gonna do it fair.
And that's right, and Baker Tilly can do those things. They can actually take Wes's numbers and plug some of that in their formulas. Because I don't think it's right that hotels are billed for every room.
Then you're gonna have to come back again, and the tough question's gonna be, what qualifies as an item you choose to recycle? and the cost associated with it, we can include everything in the world.
Yep.
Everything can be recycled in some fashion and it's gonna cost us an arm and a
And
leg.
that's a number that I'm sure
And that's what this
a
board.
professional firm or this board could decide, looking at those numbers. We could just, we go out, you said glass. I don't disagree with you on the glass. I understand your point on that. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. We could have done that in conjunction with Baker Tilly to come up with a solution. But that would just, like I said, deaf ears, didn't go anywhere, so.
Yeah, can I say one more thing?
One more.
The disappointing thing is, I've been copied on all the emails with Chris Wheeler and all of the board members and Wes, and I'm pretty sure I've read all those emails. And this has been known for months upon months that eventually you're gonna run out of money. And when you sit and do nothing, it's kind of like it was just a waiting game for it to happen. So something should have been done, or you can't just sit and talk about doing something in November and then just sit and wait and wait. I do feel for Chris, because I see the emails coming across where she's saying, hey, I need to have this meeting. And it's, oh, I can't be there, I can't be there, I can't be there. So we've had all these months to where nothing's been done. And so it's just like the problem has gotten bad, worse, and here we are. You can't tell me that you guys are not intelligent people and you don't read those emails. And like I said, understand when no money's coming in, that you're not going to eventually be to this point. And now we're like, oops, what do we do? So, I mean, this is on you all for waiting and wasting time and not doing anything.
Well, we won't be able to come up with anything tonight, but what we will do.
Can I say something?
Yes.
We're cutting into your time, Stan, so.
I don't know, maybe we'll have all this audience in ours. The $45 left a bad taste in the people out in the county. Whereas the city, I felt, should have kept their $45 on because it was convenient. They come through the alleys, you just put your stuff out in the alley and you say no, but
They're not
that's the
related,
truth.
okay.
But that's the truth. I mean, it's a convenience. I wouldn't have mind paying $45 for that convenience for them to come pick our trash up, okay?
That
And I don't know
$45.
why
Okay,
the city did not okay that.
Okay, I know it is hard to understand. The solid waste district in the city, other than us using their trucks or their trailers to go down the alley once every other week, pick it up, has nothing to do with the city. Your $45 you pay, other than us taking up, we could take your stuff to Spencer County and you wouldn't pay $45. We could take your stuff anywhere and you wouldn't.
But I didn't understand why you didn't just keep the $45.
We tell us anywhere we need to build it. Honestly, we could survive without it.
I mean, you know,
We really
I don't
could.
know why. It didn't make sense to me.
Because
City never did send out the $45.
No.
Stan.
Like I said, we can't get anything decided tonight, but our next scheduled meeting will be July 25th. We'll probably have a special meeting between now and then. So we'd like to have all of our board present when we have our next meeting. So we'll have to work to get that done. Other comments? Get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that. I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Means adjourned.
All right, see you later.